Formula One drivers chase glory, records, and legacy, but for every shiny stat they brag about, there's one they pray no one brings up. Today, we're diving into the ones that keep drivers awake at night. Let's begin. There's unwanted records, and then there's being on first-name terms with a Q1 exit.
Across the line, no, he's out. In qualifying, it's another Q1 exit. Lance Stroll trying to lift himself out of the bottom five. It hasn't happened again. Crosses the line, and sadly, he's the slowest driver once again.
Our favourite meme, Lance Stroll, knows that one a little too well. Every driver has those weekends where the car feels heavy, the tyres don't switch on, or it's just a poor strategy call.
Yeah, tyres not ready, come on!
But for Stroll, it seems like Q1 itself is the final boss every single time. One of the best examples of this was Qatar 2023. The Aston Martin was purring, and a top 10 shootout was most definitely on the cards. And while this was pretty straightforward for Alonso, I can't say the same for Stroll, who struggled to put a meaningful lap together.
His teammate Stroll goes over the line, it's only 17th, 4 races in a row, he's out in Q1.
He then got a bit too physical with his personal trainer.
And then as they made their way out the back of the garage, a firm shove in the back from Lance. He was absolutely apoplectic.
And made matters even worse when he faced the media.
What is not clicking for you behind the wheel at the moment?
I don't know.
And how does this change your mindset for the weekend? Is it now a test session? Are you going to go for it in the sprint?
Keep driving.
And sadly, for little old Lance, Alonso finishing P4 just added salt to the wounds. But this wasn't the first time he's been schooled by his teammates. Take Portugal 2021 for example. Stroll was having yet another session to forget. In the stopwatch, it was a sorry sight.
Lap of his. Lance Stroll stays in the bottom five. Didn't improve during the final sector, only 17th fastest.
This was the kind of performance that is just painful to watch. After all, his teammate Sebastian Vettel, he got his Aston Martin to Q3. That's one way to make your father proud, Lance. Keep it up, big fella. But the story doesn't end there, because sometimes it wasn't just the clock that beat him. Occasionally, the wall wanted to join in.
Think about Q2, no! He's hit the wall! That is a big moment, and a big accident.
I don't think the walking, talking Canadian meme saw the no parking sign on that final corner. By now, you should be able to guess what Stroll's unwanted record is. The most Q1 exits out of any driver in the history of Formula One. He set the record when he surpassed Kevin Magnussen with 75 back in Saudi Arabia earlier in 2025, which I don't think he was very pleased with. After Brazil in 2025, Stroll's sitting pretty big on 86 Q1 exits, and if I were a betting man, I'd say there'll be plenty more to come. And just for context, putting Stroll head-to-head with his teammate over the years, he's been out-qualified 146 times in 189 qualifying seasons. Ouch. Lance truly is the gift that keeps on giving. I don't think I'll ever get tired of his on-track antics. But while Stroll's Saturdays might get messy, the next story? That's where the mess sticks around long after a single session. Some unwanted records take years to build, others happen in about 2 hours. Esteban Ocon's Austrian 2023 meltdown? Well, strap yourselves in, ladies and gents, because this thing snowballed faster than Jack Doohan's F1 career. We rock up to the Red Bull ring expecting chaos. It's Austria, it's track limits, it's a roller coaster of emotions. And from the very first lap, you could tell race control were in the mood to hand out penalties like party favours.
Pierre Gasly on Yuki Tsunoda, who's got a 5-second penalty for track limits.
And Ocon, well, somehow became the main character in the steward's break room.
And we can see here, is that an unsafe release? As in came Logan Sargent, and out came Esteban Ocon, and while Esteban Ocon is the latest to get a penalty. That's 3 drivers now with a 5-second penalty.
A 5-second time penalty. Annoying, manageable, whatever. But then came an even bigger slap to the face. Ocon gets to the end of the Grand Prix, but the stewards weren't satisfied.
The race finished, Aston Martin launched a protest against the race result, suggesting a number of cars were not penalised for exceeding track limits. And then Ocon, who was the biggest offender of them all, 4 separate penalties to combine to 30 seconds, went from P12 to P14.
All of a sudden, Esteban Ocon has just broken the all-time Formula One record for most penalties, most penalty time ever received in a single Grand Prix. 4 penalties, 35 seconds, 1 race, pure clown show. Now, for the punchline, he broke his own record. Yep, you heard that right, because earlier that same year in Bahrain, Ocon managed to collect 3 penalties in 20 seconds like he was speedrunning a tutorial on how not to serve a punishment. Grid box violation, illegal penalty serving, pit lane speeding, the trifecta of doom. Austria didn't just top it, it obliterated it. And while finishing with those sorts of numbers is one thing, not being able to finish is something else entirely. His name is Andrea De Cesaris, and this man holds one of the most unbreakable, untouchable, unwanted records in the history of Formula One. The most DNFs of any driver ever. A total so ridiculous, it feels like a typo. And the wildest part, he wasn't slow, he wasn't talentless, he just couldn't stop the universe from throwing banana peels at him every Sunday. Driving through the 80s and 90s meant there were a few guarantees. Engines blew constantly, gearboxes failed regularly, and electrical failures, well, they happened all the time. Andrea drove for 10 different teams across his 15-year career, all of whom were midfielders or backmarkers. This meant smaller budgets, poor engineering, and high probability of all of the above. And let's not forget how incredibly accident-prone the man was too. He had a reputation for overdriving, risk-taking, aggression, and very importantly, being prone to sudden dramatic errors.
De Cesaris sideways, De Cesaris on the grass, he's going over! Oh, De Cesaris, a major accident!
Now, if you combine everything I've just mentioned, you get what's called a perfect storm. Obviously, you know what that is, but humor me a little because this stat is insane. Across his 208 Grand Prix starts between 1980 and 1994, he DNF'd a monumental 148 times. Let that sink in for a second. That's 71.5% of his race starts, where he didn't see the checkered flag. And dare I say that no driver will ever come close to that record. Modern-day cars are far more reliable for figures like these to ever be put up by anyone ever again. So we can safely say that De Cesaris will wear this unwanted record till the end of time. The thing is, for a lot of F1 drivers, the closest to glory they'll ever get is leading just a single lap of a Grand Prix. For some, it can be the pinnacle of their career. But K-Mag? The guy who started 185 races, had a pole position, a podium, and a career built on being the ultimate wildcard. Well, it's crazy to think, but somehow, he holds the record for the most race starts of any F1 driver in history, while never leading a single lap. And trust me, he's come close. Painfully close. Take Brazil 2022 for example. The conditions were horribly inconsistent, and pole is there for the taking for whoever can put a lap together. K-Mag pops up in the right place at the right time and does just that. And with the rain picking up, Haas has begun to realise what's just happened.
Okay, Kev.
What position are we?
You're P1, mate.
You're kidding.
I am not kidding.
You're kidding.
Absolute ecstasy. Mechanics may have well been crying. Günther Steiner nearly combusted on live TV. It was chaos. But it was short-lived, because while he had a few laps in the sprint race, K-Mag inevitably finished P8. And for those of you that don't remember the way things used to work, your final position in the sprint became your starting spot for the actual Grand Prix. So, sadly for K-Mag, the real race was a different story altogether.
Daniel Ricciardo makes contact there with Kevin Magnussen, and there's a second contact, and they're both out of the race.
He never got a sniff of P1 when it actually counted. And if you think that was a slog, wait till you meet the poor driver who kept showing up, did everything he could, and still left F1 with absolutely nothing to show for it. Some unwanted records come from chaos, some come from bad luck, and some come from the universe looking at you and saying, mate, this just isn't happening. Because Luca Badoa holds one of the bleakest records in Formula One history. The most Grand Prix starts without earning a single point. And look, the guy wasn't a joke. He wasn't miles off the pace as a driver. He just spent his entire career in the worst possible place at the worst possible time. He debuted with Lola Ferrari, a midfield dream? Nah, more like mechanical lottery. Engines failing, gearboxes exploding, hydraulics doing whatever they felt like. Half the time the poor guy was fighting the car more than the drivers around him. Then came Minardi, the ultimate backmarker challenge. Heart? Yes. Budget? No. Race pace? Absolutely not. He'd qualify well relative to the car, then watch the entire grid disappear into the horizon by turn 3. And then, the cruel twist of fate, 2009. Felipe Massa is injured, Ferrari needs a stand-in. They call up Luca Badoa, the loyal test driver who spent a decade helping them build cars in the simulator. His big chance, the moment he'd waited for his whole career, and it goes horribly, outqualified by everyone. Blue flags left, right and center on race day, notebook scribblers calling it the saddest comeback ever. It hurt to watch, and it hurt even more knowing this was the fastest car he'd ever raced. He finished 17th, came back for Belgium the week after and ended up P14. It was too little, too late. 50 starts in total, 0 points scored. Forget the dream of becoming a champion, or winning a race, or even standing on the podium. Earning a point is where it all starts, and a part of me really feels for the guy. But it might not be as sad as the next one, because that's where the sadness gets counted in millions. Some records hurt your pride, some records hurt your race. This one, it hurts the accountants. Because welcome to the unofficial championship nobody wants to win. The World Destructor Championship, awarded to whoever cost their team the most money through crash damage in a single season. And the winner we're talking about today, Alexander Albon. Back in 2019, when he raced for both Toro Rosso and Red Bull, he racked up a figure so ludicrous, it's hardly even believable. We're talking millions, literal millions, turned into carbon fiber confetti. Of the 21 race weekends that year, he managed to rack up a hefty bill at 9 of them. And while they were all insanely expensive, FP3 in China absolutely, unequivocally takes the cake for the worst of the lot. Wouldn't even know where to start if I was a mechanic. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? I would know where to start if I was a viewer like yourself though, liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already, in case that wasn't obvious. Back to it though, somehow the mechanics managed to get the car race-worthy come Sunday, and Alex did a pretty good job with it once he was out there, managing to claw his way from the pit lane back to P10. Naturally though, the damage doesn't end with one weekend, because there's the follow-up outings that need to be considered. It doesn't matter whether it's a front wing, suspension, chassis, gearbox, rear wing, or whatever, the cost adds up. So much so that come the final checkered flag at the Abu Dhabi GP for 2019, Alexander had racked up a monstrous $5,414,000 in damages. It's no surprising then that he holds the record for the most expensive season in Formula One history, racking up the highest repair bill a team has ever had to face. But if you think that's rough, man oh man, well, I got something for you. Because wait till you hear about the season where one driver lived through what has to be called the ultimate teammate nightmare. Imagine this, your name's Dave Walker, and you're racing for Lotus, the hype machine of the early 70s. You've got the legendary Lotus 72 at your disposal. Your teammate? A 25-year-old prodigy named Emerson Fittipaldi. And while Emo is out there slicing through the field, you're having the most miserable year of your life. Walker went through the motorsports equivalent of getting stuck in traffic for an entire year. He entered 11 Grand Prix that season, finished only 2, and scored 0 points. He had 0 fastest laps, 0 podiums, 0 laps led, 0 of anything you'd want on your season review. Meanwhile, his teammate, 5 wins, 11 podiums, a world title, the youngest champion in F1 history. It's the ultimate unwanted record, the only driver in the history of the sport to score 0 points in a season where his teammate won the world championship. That must have hurt. But to be fair to Walker, the deck was stacked against him. Lotus tailored the 72 around Fittipaldi's driving style. Walker struggled with its twitchy balance. He lacked track time and found himself constantly fighting a car that just didn't behave the way he needed. Add in a couple of spins, some missed opportunities, and Emo being in God mode that year, and suddenly you've got the harshest stat line imaginable. By the end of the season, the team quietly moved on. Fittipaldi became a superstar. Walker faded from the grid and the stat sheet forever. And speaking of records, if you want to see a man who breaks the very best records for fun, check out this video on Max Verstappen, because the way he constantly humbles the rest of the grid is absolutely out of this world.